I'm a theater promoter. I don't care what they say about you. You got the hottest group in the world. Michael Jackson was huge. I said, put $1 million. And he went home and told his kids, we're not doing the tour unless we get $1 million. They couldn't believe it.
Oh. Hi, this is Brad Henry. On the podcast, we have stories about the underdog. I've had a lot of victory, but more tragedy in my life has made me very compassionate and perceptive on those who struggle, but those who are not willing to give up. And these stories will hopefully inspire you to become more and be more in life, to give you hope, to know that victory can be right around the corner. And hopefully today's story will be that one to put you in a great mindset to know that everything in life is attainable with persistence and hope. So thank you for listening today, and I think you will really enjoy our channel. On the show today, I have I don't know what to call him, but he's been a friend for over 30 years. He's known as the ultimate promoter, not only in our country, kind of the world. He's represented the Beach Boys, Marvin Gaye, Wayne Newton, Michael Jackson, and so many others. But with him today is Suzan Blanco, who was Eddie's assistant for a number of years. It's great to have both of you on the show today.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Thank you for all showing up. I say that Eddie is really in the history books. Everything he's been through is actually history. You know, we're talking about Marvin Gaye singing the national anthem for the LA Lakers, and Eddie was there and how it got so emotional. I mean, there were so many places and time that he was at. How did you become the ultimate promoter, Eddie?
I was a singer, recording artist. I did pictures. I did everything with entertainment. And my manager was Casey Kasem. Casey Kasem was alive then. He's passed away since then. And he is, I think he liked me because I was an Arab like he was.
Mm.
And that's what I think happened. And he was a great guy, great man.
You lived in the same apartment building, didn't you?
Yep, I lived I lived on a floor below him in my own apartment. You're right.
And Suzan, you met Eddie through Lana?
No, I actually met Eddie through my ex-brother-in-law, Tony Saka, who he and his identical twin brother, Robert Saka, who I was married to, they were from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and they had a lounge act, and they traveled all over the U.S. and Puerto Rico doing their shows. And so Tony Saka, my ex-brother-in-law, he knew Eddie very well. So my brother-in-law called me and said, hey, I want you to meet this great guy. He's looking for a personal assistant, and it's show business. You know so much about it. Here's his number. Give him a call. So I called Eddie, and we met the now gone, boardwalk where City Center sits. And we met in the coffee shop. And we sat there for hours and just talking. It was one of your friends, Eddie. He was a tall gentleman, really nice. I can't remember his name, though, because that was the only time I actually met him.
Oh.
And then Eddie hired me, and I started to work on a Monday through Friday.
Wow.
And I was with him 9 years.
Eddie, what kind of music did you sing?
Current. Top 40. I was a lounge singer. I worked in lounges in Vegas, Lake Tahoe, all the casinos, and a backup band, nice guys. and that's what I did.
Now,
And
tell me, you had a story once. I could get this wrong, but I think you were either expelled from school, but it was the same
oh,
day the Beach Boys got expelled from
I went to
school.
Hawthorne High School, and what happened? They it's funny. They were walking out the same day I was walking out of school. I was expelled. I was told to go home. They were expelled and told to go home. And we were both walking out, and I knew Carl and Dennis, and they saw me. I saw them, and I said, "Where you guys going?" Well, we got kicked out of school. I said, "Good." So did I. So let's go together. That's what happened. That's
So
funny.
is that kind of the intro to your long relationship with the Beach Boys?
Well, kind of. I was, well, I lived in Hawthorne. They lived in Hawthorne. I was from singing all over the country. They were singing in Hawthorne. But my career was totally different than the Beach Boys. They had Brian Wilson, the older brother, who was a great talent, who wrote almost all the songs with Mike Love, their cousin. Mike and Brian were really the writers of the Beach Boys.
Oh,
And we liked each other, They were singers, I was singers, I was working in the lounges, they were working in the garage, doing songs they wrote. I mean, they were, you know, and they had a record out called Surfing that day. I mean, that era. They wrote a song that hit. In those days, they were regional hits. My hit was like a hit a record in Chicago. They had a hit record in LA. So in those days, regional hits was the way to do it. Today it's national. So that's how it did. That's what happened.
now Mike was a cousin?
Their cousin, yeah.
Okay.
And Mike became he was the only cousin in the Beach Boys and brothers, the Wilsons, and they had another group guy named
Was it Al Jardine?
no, I'm trying to think. Maybe yeah, maybe it was Al.
And you said David Marks too, I
Oh,
think.
David was a neighbor. You're right.
Oh, he was a
David,
neighbor?
neighbor of the Wilsons across the street.
Wow.
Yeah, I said right. You're right.
Ah.
They were all great guys, all of them.
Well, you've known them for
Oh, since the '60s,
50. Yeah.
the early '60s,
Wow.
and the record was Surfing. Surfing is, and they had a regional hit in LA. I mean, it was a great record. And the brother, he died, he drowned. And
Ooh.
I'm trying to think of his name.
Wow. So this would have been back in the early 60s, right?
Yeah, Dennis Wilson.
Dennis.
Dennis, Brian, Carl, Mike Love, and the guy who was in my band. I'm trying to think of his name. He was a Beach Boy. I
Cool.
can't think. I can't remember.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah.
So how did you meet Don Joe? And explain who he
Danjo,
was.
well, Danjo was he owned theaters, and he had two theaters very successful. One called the Circle Star in San Carlos, and the other one called the Sunrise Musical Theater in Sunrise, Florida. And my girlfriend was working for him. I was singing, and she was working for Donjo, and she liked him. Donjo was a nice man, and he was very honest. And I wanted to learn the theater business. He was perfect to know it. He knew it, and he taught me the theater business.
Now, I want to stop you there for a second because I think it's important to all the listeners out there if you want to be successful. If you want to be successful, which Eddie was and is, um, he worked for Donjo for free in order to learn the business. So if you're not willing to break your back for free and do what it takes to get ahead, you're in the wrong business. So
I love it.
that was a plus.
I work for free. You're right. How'd you remember that? Jesus. That's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Well, you could sing, I could make the dogs howl, so we have that in common.
That's funny.
So so Donjo, you learned a lot from him, and then you owned theater.
Yeah, yeah.
And how
What
many
happened?
seats wise?
I learned what he did.
Yep.
He knew drinks. But you see, in my theaters, when I bought my first theater in Phoenix called a Celebrity Theater,
Yep.
I bought that with a guy named Marvin Rose. He will own gas stations. Nice guy. And he wanted to do concerts. And he liked doing concerts because it was easy. If he didn't know what he was doing, but it was easy for him to do as long as he had a guy like me that was doing that could teach him and work with him. He's very very sharp guy.
So how many seats would have the celebrity?
And those theaters, that was 3,000 seats
Ooh.
in Phoenix. In Anaheim was 3,000, and I had Milwaukee was 2,800, and in Chicago was like 6,000.
So who sold? Oh my! Who sold the tickets?
I did. What I did, I made a deal with Ticketmaster.
Oh.
They called me up and they made a deal with me because I wanted them to sell it because they were starting up, and they wanted one of the guys at the Ticketmaster knew about me and called me and asked me would I give them the account of selling my tickets in Phoenix. And when he knew I had the other theaters that I was working on, he wanted them all because they made money on selling tickets. They gave me 200,000 to one theater, but I gave him for 200,000. I gave him 4.
Wow.
He loved it.
So let me ask you how that would work. How
Every
many
ticket.
months ahead would you have to get an act in order for to sell properly?
Well, they sold it as when I gave them the act. When I went on sale, when I confirmed the act, I went on sale.
Okay.
If it was 6 months out, 6 months.
I got you.
It was a month out, it was a month. When I said, when the act confirmed, I went on sale. So, and the reason why I confirmed, the longer I had him on my roster was the easier to sell because we didn't have to promote it when you had months out.
Right.
You had to promote it when you have a month out instead of 5 months out, you know?
Now, one of the best stories before I get into some of the others is Joe, Michael's father,
Joe Jackson.
came to
Joe
you.
Jackson came to see me.
Yep.
He was taking his sons on the road. Now, truth be told, and I didn't know it, he came to my office and he told me, I want you to read something. I said, okay. And he came into my office and I read a contract. All the boys signed it. The Jacksons, the father, everybody was signed. And he was delivering the act. He was delivering his sons. And I told him, I said, Joe, for this money you're getting for this tour, the promoter got a great deal. I knew it. I said, for that money, I'll buy it for all my theaters. He said, he couldn't believe it. I said, why? I said, because I buy the Jacksons with Michael. I got a home run. I'm telling you now. And I may do a month with that act. That's how powerful Michael was. So I said, but you can't say what I told you because people know who I am. And I don't want to, don't say anything. You're better off to keep quiet. Do me that favor. You'll get me in trouble.
Well, you were protecting your family too.
Pardon me?
You were protecting your family.
Well, yeah, my family. I was protecting Joe. I didn't want Joe talked about. This business is very cruel.
But tell me, there was that story about the world tour, I think, or something to where
I was gonna do the world tour, which I did. I didn't do it, but I was the advisor to Joe. I wouldn't take money. I said, don't pay me, but do me a favor. Do not say what you're getting, the guarantee. He thought, he signed the boys for $40,000. They brought me the contract.
A night?
A night. I read it. I said, Joe, I'm going to tell you something. You're getting $40,000 per show. Am I right? Yeah. I'm proud of it. I said, Joe, I'm going to tell you something. You got to promise me. Do not say to anybody, I'm the guy who told you. You give me, I won't be able to stay in business. And he didn't understand. What do you mean? I said, what I'm going to tell you, you'll get it. You signed Michael and all the brothers for 40 grand per show. That's right. I'm telling you now, $1 million. He looked at me like I was nuts. He said, $1 million?
For show.
Joe, you got the hottest son in the business. I'm a theater promoter. You got the kids. I don't care what they say about you. You got the hottest group in the world. Michael Jackson was huge. I said, put $1 million. And he went home and told his kids, we're not doing the tour unless we get $1 million. They couldn't believe it.
Oh.
And they were broke. They had no money. They had no money. I didn't know it. Wow. They had no money. $1 million a day. They went nuts.
My
And
goodness.
I said, don't tell your sons what I've told you because they'll blame you for the. I said, say nothing. It's your idea. He's okay.
Susan, what's one of the best stories when you were working for Eddie that you could talk about?
Well, we did a lot of shows for Daimler Chrysler, and of course, every time Daimler Chrysler rolled out, say, for instance, their PT Cruiser, then it was the Dodge Durango, and just Eddie was the it guy, and of course, BBD&O was the
Oh,
marketing company out of
yeah.
New York City. So Lou Battanti, he was, in charge of the marketing and stuff in Detroit, Michigan, with Daimler Chrysler. So we did a big show when they rolled out the PT Cruiser, and it was at Six Flags of Illinois. And we had the whole parking lot, and a big, huge stage was set up. And we had a lot of big headliners. First of all, Lon Bronson, who lives here in Las Vegas, he was the musical director. And it was like I think it was an 18-piece orchestra.
Oh,
And the lineup of the show was the Shirelles, Little Anthony and the Imperials,
huh.
and the Tokens, which was Eddie's good friends that sing the song "The Lion Sleeps Tonight."
Oh,
So our closing act for that particular show in Chicago, Illinois, was Chuck Berry.
oh,
So I always had to have my walkie-talkie on me, and I had to rent a car. And the orchestra had shown up, and all the 18 members of the orchestra, all of their white dress shirts were wrinkled. And I said to Lon Bronson, the conductor, I go, give me all of those white dress shirts, and I'll take a Sharpie and put their initial in the collar so they'll know which one is theirs. I took them back to the hotel and ironed all
oh,
18 of those white dress shirts.
That's right.
And my walkie-talkie still worked all the way to the hotel, which I thought was hysterical. And Eddie's like, Susan, where are you? And I go, well, boss, I'm here at the hotel. Hey, what for? Well, I'm ironing 18 orchestra members' white dress shirts. And he
That's right.
started laughing so hard.
You're right.
Goes, like, and I go, I kid you not. Well, how many of you iron now? And I said, I'm just now on number 3. And he goes, okay, just let me know when you get back. So then I got back to the venue, and people were coming in. People that owned PT Cruisers, they got to utilize the theme park for free the entire day.
mm,
And the show started at like 7 o'clock that night, and it was a great show. And so then Eddie says, I want you to go to all of the artist trailers and make sure you introduce yourself, let them know that you will go to their trailer when it's their time to come and be side stage to enter the stage. So when I went to the last trailer was Mr. Chuck Berry. And I said, hi, Mr. Berry, my name is Susan Nesbitt. And he goes, yeah, don't call me that. It made me feel old. I go, yes, sir. And that too, don't even say yes, sir. And Eddie's
oh,
on the walkie-talkie. Susan, where are you? And I'm going, hold on, boss. I'm at Chuck Berry's trailer. I'll see you or come find you when I'm done. So Mr. Berry's request was, if anybody videotapes me while I'm on stage, I'm going to walk off. I said, you have nothing to worry about. He said, I go, what about still photography? He said, still photography is fine. And he talked like this. And it was rough. And I'm there. I could hear my heart up in my eardrums. And his beautiful, beautiful coiffed wife and a gorgeous suit with her hair up in a French twist, And she was just very classy. And she kept looking at me and winking like, it's okay, just don't worry, this is how he is. He's a little rough around the edges, Chuck Berry. But no, he was a gentleman. He was very nice to me. So after I had finished the conversation with Mr. Berry, I went back to the tent and Eddie goes, so how did everything go? And I go, well, where do I stand when Chuck Berry's on stage? Because he said if anybody videos him during his performance, he will walk off the stage and he's the headliner. And Eddie goes, you got this. You handle it, handle it. So I started thinking, well, where do I stand? Side stage or down in front of the stage? Well, I did both. And I was back and forth and back and forth. And boy, I did sleep really good that night. I do, boss. Yeah, it was great. But the thing what Mr. Chuck Berry did that he had never done at any of his shows, he brought some of the audience up on stage for his famous last song and they were dancing on the stage. And his wife, Mrs. Berry, looked at me and she said, he has never done that before.
Oh.
So it was a big kudos for Eddie, for EJH Entertainment, which that was the name of Eddie's company, EJH Entertainment. And Lou Batante of Daimler Chrysler, they were all just so excited. And we did so many shows for them. We, when they rolled out the Dodge Durango, that was Celine Dion here at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada, when they had built the Coliseum. And it was Daimler Chrysler, EJH Entertainment. And of course, it was a big black tie the night before her grand opening. And Casey Kasem was the MC of the show. And it was wonderful. I mean, Eddie had so many great artists that just were so amazing. And they were all so wonderful and very kind. And then one of my favorite stories was with Dionne Warwick. And she had called in and I said, Eddie, Mrs. Warwick is on the phone. And he said, okay, so she was trying to figure out something on the computer. Well, I had just learned how to use the computer when I started working for Eddie. He goes, Dion's on line one, get on the computer, get on the phone and teach her how to do this and this on the computer. And I go, you've got to be kidding me. So anyway, I did okay. I did pretty good. And she understood, what she had to maneuver at her end. Because I think at the time she was in New Jersey at her home. So, but I was shaking in my boots when Eddie said, get on the phone with Dionne and teach her how to maneuver something on the computer.
2 life lessons. One is about Eddie working for free in order to know the business and learn the business, because that's what he had to do. And for you, you weren't asked to press those shirts and take them back to your hotel, but you did it. And no one asked you to do it, but you saw a need and you did it. That's what being successful is. So,
yes, sir.
More power.
And believe it or not, and it sounds crazy. I love to iron. I don't know. It must be my therapy or something. I love to iron.
I'd had 12 shirts with holes in them is what I'd had. So
Eddie, you got anything you need me to iron?
No, that was a good story.
I do.
Gee.
So Eddie, back to a real serious conversation. You met Marvin Gaye in what year?
That I don't. I met when he had the #1 record in the country, Sexual Healing.
Yeah.
That's when I met him. A friend of his told him about me. She was a a lady named Kitty Sears.
Yep.
She knew Marvin, and Marvin liked her, and they were friends. And she said, I know a guy who works with Don Joe Medlevine, who owns 2 theaters. I owned 1 theater then. And she told him about me. And Marvin liked what she said. And she told Marvin about Danjo. Nice man. He was 70 some years old, very honest and all that. And Danjo went to Palm Springs and met him, talked to him, and signed him to management at that trip and brought him to LA to meet me. That's what happened.
So
And he signed with Danjo, not me. But I got him because Danjo said, you got to handle it. I said, done, which I did. And he was great, great. And his father killed him. He got killed in Chicago. He went home, and his father was beating up his mother, and he was yelling at him or her. He woke him up, and he ran downstairs, and his father was beating up the mother. And he went to the father, grabbed his arm, pulled him away, and his father said, you do that again, I'm going to kill you. He says, kill me. And he went and got the gun and shot him. That's what happened. That's a true story.
Well, you're the one.
Yeah, Eddie was the one that had to go and recognize the body. And
right.
In fact, and of course, Eddie's name, if you Google Marvin Gaye and death certificate, Eddie's name is all over. Edward Haddad is all over the death certificate because he had to recognize the body. And Eddie still owns and has the original death certificate to this day.
Really?
Yeah.
Marvin Gaye. Yes, he does.
Oh,
and I even touched it. But at the office when I found it, and I said, "Oh, this is really important." So
I don't remember that, but it's true.
Yes,
That's
it is.
True?
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And I always,
he was a
I
great
told the
man.
girls.
He was sad. He was a nice
Such a
man.
sad story.
Hey, what was the deal with Michael and the Pepsi commercial? Because Joe,
Michael did Pepsi because they were the sponsor of his upcoming tour.
Right.
And he did them a favor by doing the commercial. And he really didn't want to do it, but he did because of his brothers. That's what I think.
Well, you kind of had a
He
say.
loved it. Listen, on all the dates, I was on every date. Michael was the hottest act in the world, not the country, the world. And I went on every date. And I wouldn't let Joe go alone because I knew there were problems there. What kind of problems I didn't know, but talk is very easy. People talk a lot. So I didn't want them to ever argue, and they kind of listened to me. And Michael was very, very nice. Great. And towards the end of the tour, we did 6 months. Towards the end of the dates, he came up out of the dressing room, wanted to meet me. He never met me before. He heard about me, but never met me. And so Joe says, Michael wants to meet you. And I said, okay. So I go back. I'm backstage. I go to the dressing room door. Joe goes in, gets Michael, and they come out. And he said, I want to meet you and thank you for doing the tour. I said, well, you're welcome, but I want you to know your father did the tour. He goes, I know what my father did. I want to thank you. Listen, that family, it was all their life. They were having problems with promoters, agents, and I wanted to bow out gracefully. I owned two or three theaters, and I wanted to get out of it, really. And I told Michael, I said, Michael, you were great. I want you to know that. And I was not embarrassed of any show you were doing. So he goes, I want to thank you anyway. I said, thank you. And that was it.
Well, this is the third life lesson I'm going to put underneath is that when you want the credit for everything you've done and you don't put other people ahead of yourself,
Yeah, I'll tell you why.
and you boast, you're not going to make it.
I did not want the headache of being the guy who got Michael Jackson $1 million a show. I didn't want the headache. But believe me, Joe went through a lot of problems. I know he loved his kids. Every promoter did not want to pay that money, but I got the money.
But you were
And I
like that
told
with
Joe,
everyone, Eddie. You were
huh?
like that with everyone, not just
Well, yeah, but
Michael Jackson.
you're right. You're right. I paid money when nobody would. And I'll tell you why. I realized from Don Joe Melavine, where's the money? The money is in concessions. If I sold popcorn and candy, I made money. I didn't care about tickets. The act brought in the people and they sing their hits, and I was the winner. But what made me the winner in all my theaters, concessions,
Wow.
popcorn and candy. They
Now,
were country music sold more liquor than any act I ever had. I did
Yeah.
Conway. Oh, I did more liquor with what's the guy's name in Texas? Um, the country star. He sold liquor. I mean, I. That's why I did great concessions with country. I looked at the concessions. I didn't look at the tickets. I'm not going to make people pay money
Right.
for my theater. I look at the concessions. If I made $30,000 a show, I was happy. There's a lot of concessions. So that's what happened.
Well, that's like today. The artists today, where they make their money is in merchandise.
Well,
And
yeah.
I have a friend, and they make the merch. They make so much money in merchandise. And
Imagine the
I remember,
merchandise. You're right.
like, look at Kiss, for example, the group Kiss.
They make it
They
affordable.
were
You're
talking.
right. Any act like that had made tons of money. You're right.
Yes, is
wow.
merch, all the merchandise.
Um,
Yeah, maybe we should do merch now, Eddie.
the ultimate promoter. You have so many stories, Eddie, but you've been friends with Wayne Newton a
Where
long
am I? Yeah.
time. And I will say that another reason you're successful is because you were always behind the scenes and you could have been on top of everything.
Right.
You could have wanted to know everybody who you were, and you never did that. And you played a low key, stayed under the radar, and did what
My kids were, listen, I have 4 kids, 3 girls, 1 boy. I didn't want to put my name on anything because Haddad is really a weird name. People will remember that name and they'll know the name. They won't know from what, but they'll remember. So I would never, ever put my name. I always put the theater and the star. That's it. Never my name. And that was smart. My kids went to school with new cars.
Yep.
I mean, that's why I did that. But anyways, it worked.
Hey, Susan, were you in the office when Lana, Eddie's wife, who passed away a number of years ago through breast cancer,
Yes.
were you in the office when Lana came in to negotiate the girl's salary?
I was brought into the conversation because I guess they had talked about it at dinner the night before. And then Lana had mentioned that, because, I would even have lunch at the office. Sometimes I would never leave because we had, these big shows to do. And of course, she came in and negotiated. She says, well, they do this, this, and this. And Eddie's like, I'll have to think about it. I'll have to think about it. And I was going, oh, and so Lana walked out of the office. She looked over my way and she gave me a big wink and she goes, it's gonna happen. My favorite thing, I love the story on how Eddie and Lana met because Lana was she was at the Playboy Club in Chicago.
Yeah, that's right.
And Eddie Haddad was good friends with Eddie Mecca. And Eddie Mecca
that's it.
was Carmine on Laverne and Shirley, which
right.
one of my best girlfriends, Yvonne Grace, ended up marrying him. And I was in the wedding. My oldest son, Robbie, was the ring bearer, and they got married at the little Chapel of the West. But Eddie Mecca took Eddie Haddad to the Playboy Club where Lana worked. And Eddie Mecca was going there like, on a kind of like a date or meet face to face. Lana wasn't interested in Eddie Mecca. She was interested in Eddie Haddad.
Wow.
She knows more stories than I do.
Straight from Lana's mouth. And I said, oh my goodness gracious, that is crazy. And so Eddie was the winner of Lana's heart for sure.
So talk about a classy, loving woman. That was her.
Yes. Oh, I love that one. I still love her. I feel her all around. Yeah.
Wow.
She's watching over everybody for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yes. Yes. Yeah. And her and Eddie, they made a good couple. They were good together. So, and of course, the 4 beautiful children that are grown.
Eddie, who would you say was one of your favorite acts?
One of my favorite acts?
Yeah.
Elvis Presley. I saw him perform at the Hilton Hotel about 3 times. He was great. Now, he was great because of who he was. He was very gracious to the audience. He was he did everything right. And he was, to me, he was very humble for being the guy he was. Thank you. He was great. And I happen to know one of his right-hand men who traveled with him. And he would tell me stories about Elvis. And he said, Elvis is really a nice man. I said, you're right. I saw his show. He was great. And that's why I really liked him. He was wonderful and he really meant it. And he was big.
Well, there's one thing that we need to talk about, which is kind of explosive. You've died twice and come back.
Oh, And I
Um,
think Seven Strokes as well.
oh, yeah.
I think that's funny.
Uh, he's a cat with 18 lives.
Let me tell you something.
For real.
When I
Yes.
died, and now I've been alive since I remember everything, not just part of it, everything I remember because it took me time, but I remember it. And I saw my brothers who were dead for years.
Oh, yeah.
They were dead. I turned out dead, and they said, "Eddie, we're dead." I said, "I know." He said, "So are you." I said, "Well, I know, but I gotta go back. I gotta go back to see Lana." He said, "Why?" I said, "Because she must be crying, and I can't stand it. And I'm going back." So I came back alive. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, yeah. That's the truth. When Alana told me that, I was holding my breath and I was just listening and I went, it's just not his time. That's it. And but that is for real. And man, when he told us all the story, I was like, I'm holding my breath again.
I've been retired, and I'm thinking I'm going back to work,
Mm.
and I'm trying to think what should I do. And I started a group called Chippendales.
Oh, that's great.
Chippendales was owned by a guy named Steve Banerjee. Steve Banerjee
Yep.
passed away because the real guy that owned it, he had it put away. So he could own it. And I felt
Hmm.
bad about it, but nothing I could do. And so anyway, I told Steve, I, I mean, that group did so well business wise. Every city they performed, it was unbelievable. They packed the room, and they worked in my theaters, but they would sell out.
So did you own Chippendales?
Well, no, I knew what to do. That's what
I got
happened.
you.
And Steve, who was greedy, let me do it because he was making money and would come to my apartment and sit with me, and I would tell him I'm going to do this, this, and this because I knew what to do. That was no genius. I just knew, and he listened because he got paid, but he wanted to own it, which I didn't care. He could own it. I really
Right.
didn't care. And Chippendale did business, and that's why I did business. So that's exactly
So
what.
how did the money flow? Because if this gentleman was, I
Well,
don't know.
I this is what happened. I get the guarantee that he wanted. He was getting 15,000 per show per night. To him, that was a lot of money because he paid them nothing. They were dancers. They were men dancers who made very little money. Whatever he paid them, I don't know. But I can tell you, it wasn't 15,000. That's what happened. They were
But
working
they
every
but they
night.
got to keep
What?
uh-huh. They got to keep their tips though. Like the tips that they would get in their little teeny tiny little chonies. Chonies is underwear for Spanish. But Chippendales, believe it or not, it's still here in Las Vegas, and they just moved from the Rio Hotel and Casino, and they're now over on the Strip. I don't know which property because it just happened a couple of months ago, and Chippendales is still going strong.
Oh yeah.
Believe it or not.
It's what we did on the road. Let me tell you, I had them in every
Oh, yeah.
city in the country. I put them in, and they sold out, and the word got around everywhere. That's what happened. Then I got brave. I put them in the theaters. I think
Yep.
it's unbelievable.
Yeah, because I would say most of the audience is women.
Oh
So
yeah.
you have to,
Oh,
a
yeah.
theater, 3,000 seats, that's a lot of
No,
women.
no, no. I cut it down
Oh,
to 1,500. I
wow.
would never do
Mm.
3,000. Well, could they do it now? Maybe. I don't know. I'm thinking on right now. I want to do Steve Banerjee a favor. That's what I'm thinking. I want to do Chippendales again. I'll do it again, and I'll do it great. And I'll give clubs a chance to do them who never did them. I'll give part of the money I make on that act to Mrs. Banerjee. I want her to have money.
Mm.
I think Steve had money, and when he died, it wasn't there anymore. I'm
Uh,
thinking that. I could be wrong. I'm thinking that.
That would be great.
Oh, I'm going to do it.
didn't it start in this? It was in a residential area in LA,
Yeah.
and it was in a tiny little house
No, it was
because
in
one of my,
a
yes, and
small.
it was
No,
crazy in a residential neighborhood. And I go, am I in the right place? Because one of my friends, he danced behind Anne Margaret. And when he was on hiatus from Anne Margaret's shows, he danced over at Chippendale. So I went to see my friend, who was actually one of my best male dancer friends, and Glenn Nash was his name. And I would go see the show. And I tell you, I was just watching these women, these
going nuts.
girls, and literally women
That's
going
right.
crazy over these guys. And I'm going, oh, I hope they don't come over here near me because I'm not going to give them any money. Because,
No, do you
it's just
remember
it,
Harry Leonard,
Harry.
the
Oh,
old
yes.
man? I
Yes.
hung around. He was an old man. Used to hang around me.
Yeah.
Knew his wife, and he's a nice guy. Anyway, he took me to meet Steve. He took me to see this act. He was
Oh,
he was not a promoter. He got into it because of me. He saw what I did, and he said, "I got an act I want you to see." He told me that. I said, "Who?" They're called
yeah.
Chippendales. And I said, "I don't know that act." He says, "Come with me." He took me to that club. It was
Yes.
Steve
Yes.
Banerjee's club. Walked in there, all women. I'd never seen that in my life. I saw that. I
Yeah.
said, "This is a home run." Because the
It's
women,
still going on.
that's
Yeah,
it. Let me tell
for
you,
sure.
sex sells. It does.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Unfortunately, yes, it does.
It
But
does.
there was a movie. There was a movie that was done on the story of Chippendales and how it got started. And Eddie and I've had this conversation back in the day of certain things about Steve, but it's pretty intense, the movie, and the real deal of what was going on behind the scenes before Eddie came into the picture. And I was just like really shocked because I was told, by some of the entertainers as well that, things that were taking place, and it was pretty intense.
Yeah.
Wow.
Money
I,
for
I,
money. Let me tell
I
you,
think,
for money,
yeah,
people do anything for money. I'm
Yeah.
telling you.
Yeah. It's,
yeah,
you
that's,
know what? If you're not ready for money when it comes, it's more of a curse than a blessing.
You're right. And
Um,
oh, I agree.
I just wanted the deal right. Money will come, and I made a lot of money. I don't care. I made money, but you know what? I didn't. I could have made a lot more, but I didn't care. I didn't care. Is my problem.
well,
That That's why
became
I'm
secondary, Eddie, to you because you needed purpose, and your purpose was being the ultimate promoter. That
well, whatever.
that
Yeah.
I
was
didn't.
yeah,
Money will come.
yeah.
Money, like I'm going to go back
Yeah.
to work now. I'm going to work, and I'm going to do equally as good as I did, and I'll make the money. Now, will I make as much? I don't know. I don't really care.
But at least
My
you're
wife
back in
is,
the game.
huh?
At least you're back in the game.
Yeah, I'm giving back.
Yeah.
I'm going to give back. I'm going to make the money again, and I'm going to probably do the same thing as I always did. I'm going to go back to Wayne Newton. I'm going to go back to Chippendale. These guys need help.
Mm.
Wayne needs help. I'm telling you. I know what to do with these acts. These acts need help. And if they say no to me, I'll leave them alone. I'm not going to cry
Yeah.
over it.
Susan, Eddie, and I have been talking about where acts would be of the older generation would be great, and we're talking nursing homes. But can you imagine the Chippendales in a nursing home?
No, well, there's a saying here in Las Vegas, especially like if you like 80s and 90s, even today, because all the big production shows, Showgirls is gone. And everything is Circus du Soleil or it's headliners. And the headliners are because it's such a cush gig for all these headliner artists because out there on the road, that's a grind when you're on the road. And so when they come in and they get a residency at any of these properties,
Oh,
that's like cha-ching, big time. And they pay these artists very well. Eddie and I've had this discussion, but the ticket price is out of control. Dolly Parton was supposed to be here during NFR, which is National Finals Rodeo coming up in December. And it's 12 days, the beginning of December. Well, the Coliseum that was built for Celine Dion, um, it's a beautiful venue. And and the thing is that they were bringing in Dolly Parton for 5 days. It was the fastest sellout of tickets in the history of any artist in less than
oh,
6 seconds.
oh.
5 days
In
sold
Vegas?
out, one show per night. Yes, sir. And
Oh,
guess
I
what, though? Remember, Eddie, I was telling you, I was so upset. I called Eddie on the phone right away and I said, Boss, Dolly Parton's supposed to come in during rodeo this December. I go, guess what the tickets start at? He goes, what? They started at $3,000.
A
you
I
ticket?
sold
wanted to
out?
cry. It was so upsetting. It sold out, but guess what happened just last week?
What?
She canceled due to health issues. So she
You do what?
canceled this December. She canceled
Why?
because of health issues.
Can I
And it
tell you
was
something?
breaking news.
Can I tell you something? That's not true.
Yes.
I don't believe it. She canceled because it was not sold out. That's what I think. That's a lot of money.
I
I
guess
don't believe it.
apparently, well, she's been rescheduled for next September. And what they did, Caesars Entertainment had to scramble. So what they did, they're bringing in Tim McGraw in the 5 days in the place of her. And Tim McGraw signed the contract.
Is he going to sell out?
That's a good question. I know Blake Shelton has a residency there at Caesars now. They all want this residency in Las Vegas. Now the hottest ticket in town, and Eddie, we've talked about this venue a couple of months back, and it's the Sphere. Now the Sphere
Oh,
it
how's
took
that doing?
over 3 years to build. It's
Yeah.
doing very well, but the
What's
tickets,
happening? What's happening?
we saw Kenny Chesney there in June, and he's coming back next year. But here's the deal: the Backstreet Boys have a residency there as well. The Backstreet Boys are doing so well guess how much and the venue seats 16,000, and the Backstreet Boys that just wrapped up, and then they'll be coming back, I think, starting next year. Guess how much they were making a night?
What?
It's the highest, $4 million for one show they were making.
I don't believe it.
At the Sphere here.
How much?
Well,
how much a ticket?
Oh, I went and looked at the tickets up in the section 400, which is way up in, and you could get vertigo up in this build up there in those high seats, because it's just massive. It's the largest steel structure ever built in the world. It's pretty amazing. And it's got 165,000 speakers in the venue. That's a lot of speakers. Also, the company is out of Germany that built the speaker, that did the sound system. And then the square footage to the Sphere is about 520,000 square feet.
Oh,
it's
my.
massive. But when I was looking at the tickets for Backstreet Boys before they just wrapped up, they started at $342. And that was up in the 400 section. $342. Yes, sir. Ridiculous.
Crazy.
And I know people that were flying in from all over and paying those ticket prices.
They're going nuts.
Yeah.
Vegas is going nuts, I'll tell you.
Well, Vegas is paying the price this summer because our tourist industry is down 12%, and there's major layoffs taking place all summer up and down the Las Vegas Strip and all of these properties, and people are losing their jobs. And now Las Vegas is number one in foreclosed homes today because of what's happening on the Strip. People losing their homes because they lost their jobs.
Really?
Here in Las Vegas. Yes. And it's very sad. And how the entertainment industry has just completely changed. And the whole reason Las Vegas was built on what? The mob, the mafia, and showgirls.
Everybody out there, Suzan was a famous showgirl. She even has a picture with George Burns, and I said, how many cigars was he smoking a day? And in the picture, he's smoking a cigar. So, yeah, pretty amazing.
Cuban cigar. And I do know, yes, sir, I do know the answer to that question. George Burns, he smoked anywhere between 15 to 20 cigars a day.
A day?
That is a day. Yes, a day.
Oh,
that is the truth.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was a class act, and he was just what you see is what you get. He was so natural and humble as well, and funny. Just not even on stage, he was just funny, and he would give you a certain look. And of course, when I walked up, I'm so tall, I'm 5'10", flat-footed. And he looked and he goes, I could just fit right underneath those feathers of yours. And I was like, I don't even know what to say to that.
That's good.
He was darling. He was darling. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank both of you for being on the show today. We got to do this again. And I really want to see you back in the business, Eddie.
Yeah.
I'm
going to go back. I'm going back to work in about a month, and I'm going to do it again. All I got to do is copy what I did and bring the acts back and promote them.
Suzan, thanks for reminding us all the great things that you guys did together. And
Suzan got a great memory.
Yeah. Thank you both. Thank you both.
Thank you.
All right. See ya.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. Bye, boss.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening today. Quite a segment. Hope you got as much out of it as I did, and that you learned something from adversity, not giving up, that there's always hope, no matter what the circumstances. Please subscribe to our channel so you get all the latest updates, and you can see all the past great stories of people who have overcome true adversity and hardships in life. I'm Brad Henry. Thank you for tuning in.